Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Thursday, March 3rd. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're somebody that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. Before I get to the watch list, first just want to personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class that I'm offering here on Thursday. So if you're liking what you see as I go through the video and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency as a trader, then definitely get signed up for the free class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box. If you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you're liking what you see, definitely get signed up for the free class. Couple of quick clarification points. First off, I will be doing the 30-minute time frame. So each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. If you're new to charts, that's what that means. And then next, the market is still open for a little bit of time. So that price right there will still be changing as I go through each of these charts, and the candlesticks will be changing. But I like to do these when the market's still open for a little bit of time, because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day movement. But the market is also close enough to being done for the day where everything I talk about will still be relevant as we head into Thursday. So first one here, SOFI had earnings, and this one's a little tricky because, it's one of those it depends situations. It depends on well, your strategy going in. What do I mean by that? Well, if you're a day trader, flipper, scalper, whatever you want to call yourself, and you bought right there and your plan was to buy and sell within 10 minutes, well then yeah, from that perspective, the chart looks terrible. Now, if you care about the big picture point of view, I understand. Big pullback here. But from the grand scheme of it all, when you look at where the lows have been, so a low right there, lows there, lows there, lows there, lows there. And if you envision each one of those as stair steps, well, what do you have? Well, from the big picture, you still do have progress being made in the upwards direction. So is this a bad or good looking chart? Well, I don't know. That all depends on what your game plan was going in. So yeah, overall, a big pullback. However, that's all subjective because, if somebody, for all you know, maybe a day trader bought right there, and for them, it's still looking just fine. But like I said, generally speaking, from the overarching standpoint, as long as the price keeps on putting in those higher bases, that's what matters most. And moving forward, if the price can, at minimum stay above $11.20, that would be a great sign as far as supports are concerned. And then as far as, let's try that again. And then resistance-wise, going to have that level right there at, let's call it, let's see, what is that? $12.15, so keep an eye on that. But overall, the trend remains intact, even with the bigger pullback today. Next one, IMPP, and what I like about this one is a very well-defined level, so let me be very clear. I'm not trying to imply that this line here that I'm about to draw is a great talent that I have or some sort of great discovery. Nothing like that. I assure you people around the world have taken notice of this, and I say all that because when a lot of people are watching the same level, wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movements. And the level here that everybody and their brother's uncle is going to be watching is right here at $2.25. So keep a very close eye on that. And while there are no guarantees, my point here is just that it's more than plausible to think that if the price can work its way up to that level and then get a break up through it, that break could very well create a bunch of upside buying pressure, even if it is just because of a self-fulfilling prophecy. So once again, not guaranteed to happen, but certainly a valid thought to have. So in my mind, that's the most interesting dynamic. Let's see if the price can get up to that 225 mark and then push up through it. Next one, AMC, and overall, I would consider this a good, solid day. Things did not start off well. Price skyrocketed all the way up to there and then just completely collapsed. But to be fair, then just spent the rest of the day working its way higher and higher. Now, yes, there's still more work to be done, but overall, I would say today was a big, solid day. But that brings about the question of, okay, well, Clay, you say work needs to be done, but those are just words. And that's why I love charts, because they allow you to take words and make them very visual. So when I say that there's still more work that needs to be done, it is in regards to this trend line right here, which has been a very stubborn area. So if this current, upwards grind can continue, it's all about that level right there. First off, can it even get up to that level? And then second, can it break through it? But if it can break through that area, which, let's call it right around $19.25, that would be a very, very impressive sign of strength on the bullish part. And then as far as levels of support are concerned, want to get this trend line in play. I'm kind of curious about this level now. How does it hold up now moving into the future? So I'll change that to green to represent more so a bullish dynamic. But overall, these are going to be the main dynamics and areas to watch moving forward. But all things considered, today was a good, solid day. Next one here, MOHO, and this is one where for your longer time viewers, you've heard me say it before, but there can be opportunity in ugly, because there's no doubt about it. This is a very ugly looking chart. To think at one time the price was all the way up here and then spent essentially the rest of the day just dropping. But like I said, you can have these situations where, when everybody's waving the white flag, everybody's giving up, thinking it's the end of the world. That's when the opportunity can come along. And in my mind, the area that is logical for that is down here around this gap close location, which also happens to be where these moving averages are at 26 cents. So again, I want to be very clear on this. I'm not saying that there's, a guarantee where if the price comes down to 26, it will for sure bounce. No such thing as a guarantee. But again, is it plausible? Is it rational? Yeah, that is not any sort of random level, right? And that's our job as traders, to avoid random situations. Because if you're just doing things randomly, all you're doing is gambling. And I'm not here to gamble. I want to make logical decisions. There are no such things as a guarantee, but 26 cents, especially if you can honor risk and, have stop losses, can be a very nice risk versus reward situation if it comes down to that area. So 26 cents, one of those areas where you got to think that, the chart will get that much uglier. But at that point, is that where all of a sudden everybody bails? And then that's where, the pressure finally alleviates and it, bounces back upwards. We'll have to see what happens with it. Next one, AMD, good solid day, especially within the context of how nasty things were really the past couple of days, but especially on Tuesday right there where things really got shoved to the downside. But today, nice, movement back to the upside. Yes, there's still more work to be done. But like I said, when you factor in the context of how kind of rough it was on Tuesday, a nice solid move here, which now brings about a very interesting level, which is kind of a group of areas of resistance, but right up here around the 120 mark. But you also have all these moving averages essentially, kind of cluttered up right around this area. So it's kind of just one big hodgepodge of areas of resistance right now. So from that angle, it's not very shocking to see why the price is sort of losing some of its momentum right there. And while I don't think anybody would be shocked to see if the price does, pull back down here a little bit. But on the flip side, if the price can actually get up through 120, that would be a very, very impressive sign of power because, again, that would imply that the price was able to push through all these areas of resistance that, like I said, have kind of all just happened to be in the same place at the same time right now. So 120 definitely going to be a very revealing level where if the price can get above there, then once again, not guaranteed, but more than valid to think that that could be the leading indicator of just that much more momentum to show up. So keep a close eye on 120. Next one here, GHSI, and I suppose in hindsight, I should have put this one in a different location on the watch list right after the MOHO because same exact principle here in terms of there can be opportunity and ugly. There's no doubt about it. This is a very ugly chart. To think that the price gapped up, moved up there, some poor souls bought right there, and then it's been downtrending, since then. But overall, like I said, maybe just maybe there's some sort of, capitulation point. And in my mind, that comes from this previous breakout area right down here around the 23, 22 cent area, which is also, former area of resistance. And then that 50 period moving average right there. So I'm not going to repeat myself like I did in the previous one. You've heard me say all this. While nothing is guaranteed, that is by no means some sort of random area. That's a plausible location. So as long as you have risk management protocols within your strategy, then you could definitely structure yourself a nice little risk versus reward plan. Next one here, ticker symbol for Ford, F. I was going to say ticker symbol Ford, but that would be inaccurate. Ticker symbol F for Ford. But what's very interesting about this one, again, let's go back to the topic of self-fulfilling prophecies. But I assure you, all sorts of people have drawn that trend line right there. All sorts of people have noticed that, over time, this general area here has presented some problems, and oh, look, the price is once again creeping up towards that area. So just to make it pretty straightforward, let's just call that key breakout point $18.50. So while nothing is guaranteed, and I know I repeat myself, but I don't need anybody coming at me saying, Clay, you said that was going to happen. No, now, are things logical? Are things plausible? Yes, but that doesn't mean that it's for sure going to happen. But it's more than plausible to think that if the price can get up through that level, then that breakout could very well create a whole lot of upwards buying pressure and then create some nice room for upside momentum as you have some room to run after that point if the price can get up there and get through that level. So I will zoom in here, but I wanted to see, kind of the full effect of where that trend line was coming from. If you do like to play pullbacks and the pullback area more so down around these moving averages, you have the pink line, the 200 period, the purple line, the 50 period moving average. So you have a couple of choices right there. But again, in my opinion, at least the most impressive, the most interesting dynamic here is how the price is approaching this very well-defined trend line. So let's see if the price can actually push up through it. Next one, MULN. I've been tracking this one. It's fallen down the watch list a little bit as maybe people are finally starting to lose interest in it, but it hasn't totally collapsed. So yes, volume has dropped off quite a bit, but it's got an interesting little pattern here, and we'll see if there's anything that comes from it. But, in the very near term, you can see that there's a little uptrend line that can now be drawn. And then if you use, so I'll use this as the trend line, but or you could just use that purple line, or excuse me, the pink line there, the 200 period moving average. But if I were to do that and use that moving average, we have ourselves a little wedge pattern here. So a lot of people have noticed that wedge. And again, I'm not going to repeat myself. Just think self-fulfilling prophecy type attributes. So if the price were to be able to come up to that area and push up through it, you could get a nice little move to the upside, especially when you know that there's a bunch of people watching this one. How do you know a bunch of people watching it? Because check out all this volume the past couple of days. Now, maybe people no longer care about it, and there's not going to be a breakout or anything like that. That's also, possible. But my point here is that there's a very nice, well-defined little wedge pattern right there. So going into the next few days, it's really just a question of who is ultimately going to win out of the wedge. Is the price going to push to the downside, or is the price going to push to the upside? Let's see what happens. Next one, PLTR, and I like this because once again has some very well-defined areas. And the first level here that in my mind, that's well-defined. I mean, you have, by using that point and that point, you did a fantastic, perfect job of forecasting where that level is. So you know that a bunch of people have drawn that trend line right there as a support. So actually, let me change that to green to represent more so the bullish attribute. So keep an eye on that. If you like to play supports, if you're a short, you like to play breakdown supports, or if you like to buy off of supports, to me, in my mind, that's the trend line that I think a lot of people will be watching. So you can get some of that potential self-fulfilling prophecy dynamics with it. And then as far as areas of resistance and breakout points are concerned, definitely all about that pink line there, the 200 period moving average. You can see rejected the price there, and then a whole bunch of times right there, and then once again this morning right there. So that currently valued up there at $12.35 is certainly going to be a very key level, and apparently a pretty annoying level. But the good news is that when annoying levels are broken, it does set off a lot of scanners. It does bring people's attention back to certain situations, because people be like, oh wow, the price has finally been able to break through that very stubborn level. So yes, it's stubborn, but on the flip side of that coin is if the stubbornness can be broken and overcome, that is a good sign of bullishness. Next one here, TSLA Tesla. And I'll be the first to admit Tesla has been very choppy over the past few days, but within the chop has now revealed a very, very, very interesting area. So let's just go through this real quick. By using that point and that point, it has perfectly forecasted that area of resistance right there. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. The price literally went up to that red line and then got rejected from it, which means there are so many people, myself included, they're going to be watching that trend line tomorrow saying, all right, can the bulls break through it? If the bulls can break through it finally, then that could very well create a nice move up to $900, if not even higher than that. Once again, I'll say it one final time, not guaranteed, but with, Tesla being it's Tesla. A lot of people watch Tesla. So you have a very popular stock. You have a very well-defined trend line right there as resistance. More than logical to think that if the price can actually push up through that level, you could get some good follow-through momentum on it. So I know I'll be watching that area, which sits up there right around, let's call it right around 885, give or take a little bit. So yeah, especially if it's a high volume break of 885, you got to think that there's a plausible, case where it could, get up to that $900 mark, if not even higher than that. As far as pullbacks are concerned and support levels, again, I'm kind of just doing this for my own sake. The level that I'll be watching from an overall support standpoint is that trend line right there. So keep an eye on that. But from a pattern standpoint, you have this wedge here that's formed. And as of now, the price is definitely right at the top of the wedge. So let's see what happens with it. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, if you like what you saw here and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency as a trader, then get signed up for the class. Like I said, it'll be on Thursday, March 3rd at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So certainly get signed up for it. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy this format, do a couple things for me. Hit that like button, leave a comment below. Those two things communicate to me that you enjoy these videos. And as long as I know people are enjoying, I will continue to make them. So again, like I said, if you want to get take your understanding of technical analysis and how it can be used to build consistency as a trader, then certainly get signed up for that free class, and hopefully I'll see you on Thursday.